So I drove to the site on March 2nd, but was unable to view the described location from the road. I drove around to the end of Old Turnpike Road trying to get a better view, but still could not see the property. And I guess short of taking out ice skates or a kayak, whichever the case may be, I just had no access to the property.
Okay.
You could borrow mine. You
Pardon?
could borrow my kayak.
Oh, yeah, I just have Bob pilot it for
I
you.
need an ice kayak though. I need an ice kayak. So the caller then texted the zoning enforcement officer several days later on March 8th, saying that there were machines now on the property. However, per Basra v. Chemerinsky 303, Connecticut 676 of 2012, this case law, which reiterated the Fourth Amendment to the United States Constitution, there is little action I can take. Finally, sorry, we have automatic lights in the office, which is
Right.
good. Finally, no other complaints have been received, and whether the reported activity is within Brookfield's jurisdiction or that of First Light is another unanswered question. So it's difficult to see some of these sites if I don't have access to the property.
Right.
It's a gated property, and if I'm not invited, I can't come, or if I don't have permission from the owner, I
Right.
can't go on the property.
Right.
And I understand that there are a number of complaints, quite often regarding this location. So
I'm sorry, what was the address again?
190 Candlewood Lake Road. I guess it's next to that club. Is there a club there you
Yeah.
are familiar with?
Yep.
And then another item, 731 Federal Road, which is, I guess, on our agenda a little bit later too. Is that right? For the report from Cynthia Rabinowitz?
Yep. Yep, we're gonna take a look at that. Yep.
Okay, well, but subsequently to that, I did go out and I did receive an email from Mr. Lucera of Contracting Advisors Group stating that Mark Johanning of Verity Construction had removed the excess silt from behind the sediment traps
Okay.
and had taken away the old abandoned appliance. So those are just the two activities really this month that are some concern to this commission.
Okay, well, that's great. And just a big thank you to, like I said, to Mr. Lucera for taking care of that silt socks. I mean, we knew eventually the refrigerator would go, but dealing with the erosion control was, I thought a rather urgent matter considering potential spring rain. So just a big thank you to them for getting that under control, and also to Cynthia and you for, keeping that on your radar. I think that, so just okay, so let's see, so that's that. Anything, I don't have anything for Rochelle. Anybody see anything around town they'd like to ask her to take a look at?
No, it's just this kind of thing that I get. I mean, I did, so I went out.
Yeah,
So
right.
no, typically, unless there's a huge problem, unless there's, it usually happens when there's a big rainstorm.
Yep.
Honestly, again, I from time to time, I do get calls that are anonymous, and or letters even. I've gotten letters that are completely anonymous that, I can't respond to those kinds of things. It's,
Right.
it's just not good practice. It's not, and there's nothing to
not.
go on. I don't, so, and we do have a procedure, there's a complaint form online that you can fill out, and that's really the way it should be handled from, and I, by the way, I ask for the public's help all the time.
Right.
I mean, in other
Yeah.
words, I welcome that because
Yep,
I
yep.
don't have, I don't cruise around.
Right.
I've got a day job, namely as land use director. So I don't cruise around, looking to give out tickets, so to speak. So the public is, of course, their eyes and ears are, much wider and more numerous than mine. So that's very helpful. But really, the proper protocols should be used. Otherwise, I have difficulty investigating
Right.
those complaints.
Yeah, and that, I think that's how, and I think it served us pretty well. I mean, we do appreciate, some people like to be anonymous. I mean, not all the neighbors are friendly. We're very aware of that. And I think historically it's worked out pretty well that, unless it's something where, there's I'll give an example of a tanker spill, into a tiny little creek, where it sounds like it's some rather urgent matter. Yes, and I think it served the town well that you use a great deal of discretion, when you get an anonymous complaint. So, don't know
Yeah,
if
I mean,
anybody wants
obviously,
to
if I
add
had
to
two
that.
different complaints about the same property, that would, be,
Yeah,
be a
yeah.
red
and-
flag, but
Yeah, and
there
I
was
think
no
a lot
such
of
thing.
people are not familiar that you simply don't always have the right to essentially trespass. You don't always have that right. And even if you did, sometimes it's not safe.
Yeah, I mean, the complainant could also, invite me on their property if they're a neighbor, and I could, certainly view
Yep,
things from
yep,
that,
yep.
from that, and,
Yep.
but,
Yep.
it wasn't done, so I have no view. And I mean, and I wasn't even given photographs, nothing of the kind, so it's, so it's just it's impossible to,
Right,
to issue a violation if I can't find it.
right, right. No, I think you did more than due diligence. It sounded interesting, or it sounded like it could be a big problem. You did as much as is possible. So thank you for that. I did get your report. I want to, I think when did you send it? Today? Or yesterday, Thursday, the 10th? No, when did you send it?
No, today, I sent it today.
Today. I thought I
Yeah.
sent it today. I was just opening the next one. I'm glad to have it. I will tell you, historically, we haven't asked you to do that, or the wetlands enforcement officer to do that, to go and build a report, which, for me or for the commission. We've relied very much on our meetings or phone calls or emails or, just the record of the meeting. So we're very glad to have it. If you want to continue it, great. It is not a requirement from this, historically, it's not been a requirement from the commission. So we rely tremendously on your good judgment, and we know you're very busy. So,
well, it was so easy this time. I mean, there were only 2 items on it. But
yeah.
if the spring brings a deluge of, no pun intended, of issues, I may not have time. But no, it's always a good record for me to have as well. But I know that, of course, Allison Kennedy is taking excellent minutes, so we do have that record as well.
Yeah, we definitely do. So again, if you feel that, and I do know everybody wants to somehow, keep track of their activities, and everybody does that in a different way. If this is useful for you, terrific. We can send it out to all the commissioners. But it's not a requirement for us. So, we'll leave that to your good judgment. All right, anything else? Site inspection reports?
I haven't inspected any sites, mainly because of the winter freeze, but
Right.
I know that Huckleberry School, of course, will start up soon again, and I'll be very busy with that. And honestly, since we have Cynthia Rabinowitz going out there, I'm really relying on her to make those.
Right.
I mean, I have visited the site. I went over it with her once, but I mean, so far, if everything looks good, I don't see any point in, trudging out there and, doing double duty for that kind of a thing. So
There's
so I really-
no reason
Yeah.
to send 2 if one is, if one can do the job. So you're right. All righty. Anything else? Dave, Bob, Michael?
No, I'm good.
All righty then, let's move on to old business. The first one we have here is 105 Graysbridge Road. And I see a couple of names on here that have been familiar with that. So can I just ask who's on for 105 Graysbridge Road? Can you get your name and address, please?
Ted, you need to unmute yourself.
I see Mike, I see Jim. I see, is it Enviro Consultants?
Robert
Robert.
Ryan from Enviro Consultants, 78 Triangle Street.
Okay.
Unmuted?
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, I'm sorry, sir, your name?
Yes, thank you. My name is Ted Backer, Backer,
Okay,
and I'm an attorney with Kramer and Anderson in New Milford.
okay,
And I was asked by the applicant, Jar Associates, to participate or listen.
Okay.
I haven't been involved before, and
Okay.
I'd just like to say hello to everybody. And just for information, I practiced in the Danbury area for probably 40 years.
Oh, great.
And thank you. Hello.
Well, we're very glad to have you. So, all right, so I'm looking to see, let me ask, Rob, and you guys have anything new for us today? I'm just kind of going through what we have. I don't see anything on the after the fact. You guys have anything new for us to look
Yeah,
at?
I uploaded the newest plan on Thursday.
Oh, there it is, revised March 8th. Yep, sorry. I
that's
see
the one.
the January 5th. I didn't see the revision date, so.
Yeah, Sharon, Mike Mizuko's on, so he'll go through some of his new stuff or stuff that he go through that. Remember, he wasn't there the last meeting.
Right. Thanks, Jim. Will somebody want to take us through this new?
Sure,
this
if I can share my
March 8th
screen,
plan?
I'll walk you through that. For the record, Mike Mizuko, representing the applicant.
Mike, you should be all set to share your screen.
Okay, great. So based on the last meeting, which I was not able to attend,
Right.
from that original plan, we had shown a water quality swale cutting across this flagged wetland area that Jim McManus did, and then we had it kind of dumping into this existing drainage ditch that runs along here. Based on the information and discussion of that meeting, it was decided that we should not do that and just, discharge the storm drainage, which we provided the drainage calculations for, and leave this area, which is heavily wooded and a lot of phragmites, according to what my discussions with Jim McManus, and that would definitely provide a lot of nutrient renovation and slowing down of the discharge before it reached the Still River. The other thing that we did was, at one of the previous meetings before last meetings, there was talk of, setting some barrier across here so no further encroachment would be, easily obtained. And so we talked about a few things, and I talked to Rob about this, and he felt that these just sort of small berms, 12 inches high of gravel along here in these locations, which would be bounding pretty much the clearing limit and the wetlands line. And I did provide a detail of that. It's just a stone berm that will allow the water to flow through, but just permit or preclude anybody from, getting across there very easily. And so that's really the change there. And then the only other thing I did was I added a note, we had talked about this area here a little bit, the meeting that I was last attended, where there was just a little bit of repair work that should be done at this corner of this circle here is riprap, but a little bit of repair work should be done there. Otherwise, I felt that is in pretty good shape there. So those are the changes. And again, I did do the drainage calculations. It came out, I had it at 8 type originally, but I upsized that to 10 inch. Just to make sure it was.
Hey, Mike, can you say that again? There's some static, so I'm not hearing the conversations about the.
So when I did the watershed analysis, which was half of the building, this area of the parking lot, and then the area above that grassed area, which is draining down to here, I changed that from an 8-inch pipe to a 10-inch pipe.
That's good. Yeah, that was a concern, whether that pipe was adequate before the old one. That's a good design. I like that.
Yeah. Even though that this pipe here is only a 4-inch, but at least we made the provision to allow them to increase that if they ever get to a point where in the future they feel like it's not handling it. And I'm sure in a pretty good storm, it's probably not handling it, but at least this part's done here. So those were the changes. And
Mike-
I don't know
Mike,
if Jim wants to weigh in on anything further because he was privy to the last meeting.
So just refresh my memory on the plan right now. Where are the wetlands flags on this? Is that gold line, or I'm not
Yeah, it's
seeing
just-
like,
Yeah, that's the hatch of the boundary of the wetland. So it's this upper line that's the wetlands. You can, if I zoom in, you can see the wetland flag numbers there. So,
Okay,
all right. You can see a little better there. So yeah, it follows right along pretty much this area here, which was our limit of gravel. And then along here, and then it falls away from the wetland line along here.
so you've still got that, you're still, right now, this little riprap pad you're proposing still cuts into the wetlands?
Just slightly, yep.
And what's the elevation change there from where the pipe daylights to what you're proposing? What's the elevation change there?
Well, you're roughly, that's 280 right there. So you're like 281. And that's 282 there. And then,
So about a foot-ish?
yeah,
It's pretty flat once you get into that densely vegetated area. There are some, Jim McManus, for the record, JMM Wetland Consulting Services. There are some historic fill piles in there, but they're not going to show up on the topo. They're too small, but they're sort of spattered about where Mike's kind of hand is now, where his cursor is. They're sort of scattered about in there. But other than that, it's pretty darn flat. And then obviously there's a bank at the river. Where the cursor is now is pretty flat. And then there's a,
then it
it rises up near the river with the bank, and then it dives down into the river.
Did you guys, all right, so so you got a sizing that talks about, so this riprap is what? It's about 8 feet long?
9 by 15.
9 by 15. And that's size based on what, Mike? How did you get to that sizing?
That is based on the stormwater manual. Can I get stormwater manual? Or
The
sizing?
hydrology report, right? The
Yeah,
hydrograph.
yeah, it should be in there.
It is in there. In fact, I took quite an extensive look at it.
Okay, yeah, it's see if I can get to it here. Oop, here we go. So yeah, it's just the formula that's in the stormwater manual for outlet protection. And it's based on the tailwater, your discharge, the pipe diameter, and then it computes this out and gives you a minimum D50 riprap size.
So this is based on what, the 25-year storm, or?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. All right, thank you for that. So do you have a pre and post on this by any chance?
Well, there's no there's nothing really changing for the flow to this area. So there's no it's the same. Existing pre and post is going to be the same because there's no change in the discharge to this discharge point.
At this point, you're not considering clearing that whole area. You're only clearing the area that says that's inside of the wetlands line, correct?
Correct.
What about, I'm just gonna be quiet. I have a couple questions, so let me just give it open to my fellow commissioners, Michael, Dave, or Bob.
I do have a question. I'm just looking at how they plan to bring trucks to the back of the square building and then have them back sort of around a corner and go straight out. You've put these or noted these, some sort of barrier but I'm not sure if there should be something at that corner where the truck would back up that was tall enough and strong enough to prevent a truck from backing in there. I mean, this day and age, I used to manage a fleet of large vehicles, and finding and training competent drivers has always been tough. And
Talking about
it's
this
getting
area
tougher.
here?
Yeah, right there. What to prevent a truck backing up from actually going an extra foot or two and getting its wheels in the wetlands? Are
Well, I
these
mean, you've got-
barriers high enough to stop a truck, or could you put something taller in that spot?
Yeah, I mean, you could put some large stones in here just to create a more of a physical barrier. You're not gonna start moving a 2-foot diameter rock very easily.
Well, that's what I'm asking is what are those barriers? How tall are they? Are they concrete? Are they?
No, I mean, just, natural stone, but large stone.
Oh, so you were just, no, what you've shown here, these oval shapes, what are you planning to do? Just pile stones up?
Yeah, it's just more like a heavy riprap, like 2 to 3 inch crushed stone, but it'll be 12 inches high.
Okay, so that's the berm you're talking about.
Correct.
Is there any way at that spot you pointed out that I was mentioning, you could do something a little stronger?
Sure.
Or something more permanent. I mean, you've got a pile of rocks. Piles of rocks will move, with frost heave. I mean, they're only 2 feet, only 2 feet high.
Why not put a
They're easily
piling?
missed. I mean, I think I was thinking more along the lines of something more permanent, whether that's, 3 or 4 bollards planted in the, or sunk into the ground. I said, I think piles of rock are going to move. And again, you're proposing to put them essentially, right on the wetlands lines.
Sharon, how about putting in like small pilings?
That's what
You
I'm,
know,
something, yeah,
4 to 6,
something,
2 or 3 of those, put them down 3 feet, use an auger, put them down 3 feet.
yeah, an auger or, a pressurized, pressurized post or something like that.
Yeah, cement them in, that would, anybody think, what are their thoughts?
I mean, something like that would work, whether it's pressurized wood or it's some kind of a guardrail, or, I mean, I don't, I think it can be on the, 1 along the side and 3 or 4 along the back. And now we've got something permanent. You're not running something 3 feet, 3 feet of gravel, which will inevitably find its way into the wetlands. So what do you think about that, Mike?
I certainly agree. Oh, you're asking like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
sorry.
look, I talked to Rob about the options. Initially, I thought just, some large stones, just because you don't have to dig down you don't have to dig down to set them. And as opposed to a bollard, you have to make them secure by digging down and
Right.
either putting them in cement. And so, I mean, I guess it really is, is it
Well,
bollard a better solution or the large
I
stone?
think they're more permanent. You can keep them away. I said they're a little away from the wetlands and they are way less maintenance, and you have no chance of any of this gravel, first off ending
No,
up.
I'm talking
when you're
about
trying
the
to
other
install
option.
it.
I'm talking about the other option, just large, like 2-foot diameter rocks spaced, spaced every like 6 feet, as opposed to these. Those are more permanent and those aren't going to rot, and those you don't have to dig down to set them.
I'm all right with that. 2 feet, but larger rocks, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. And again, I mean, Rob can weigh in what he would prefer doing, and to me, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I was trying to avoid actually excavating anything into the ground. So, the berms were sort of a filter, an additive filter through into the wetlands. And with the stones, we can certainly, those big 2-foot plus diameter rocks is certainly an option.
I think that's a better solution myself, but
I like that.
I still
okay
worry
with
a little bit about a tractor trailer back, a 40-foot trailer backing up. Is the driver going to know that he's hit a little stone with his wheel?
If I may, this is the Inland Wetlands Enforcement Officer, Rochelle Hudson. So I visited that site, and at that location where this is proposed, I think you've got, how many feet are you away from the Still River there, Mr. Mizuko? Can you give us it's
Yeah.
quite, and it is quite flat at that area. I think any fear of large stone, rolling down into the large rock rolling down into
Yeah,
the,
you're almost 90 feet
yeah,
here.
so you really do have some distance. So I think if you don't want to drill into the wetlands,
No, I wasn't, no, and I wasn't, for my comment about, whether they're bollards or posts or something like that, it would definitely would not be in the wetlands. It would be outside of the wetlands lines.
I think I would go with the rocks because they are at least something natural. The large stones. I think that, frankly, I do think that these little berms are not going to be effective. I like that they would filter the water, the overland water for a while, but I do think that they'll just disintegrate. In other words, they'll just
Fade away.
they'll just be be flattened into nothing in no time, unless they were wrapped in in wire or something. But I think
I just have one question. In that area where that where it turns there, where it shows the tractor trailer backing up, and if you see the tree line that's open there, that's grass. Is there a dry hydrant there? Is there some sort of
There
hydrant?
is.
So they're gonna have to continue to access. They're gonna have to have access to that.
no, the dry hydrant is being dismantled. Isn't that correct? That's what I understood. It's no longer serviceable. Is that right?
That was my understanding.
Oh, okay, never mind. Because I remember it being there, and I'm like, ugh, we can't just
Yeah, I
close
think
everybody off.
it's being decommissioned, or it's been decommissioned.
Never mind.
Is that being, Rochelle, do you know, is that being decommissioned in some other plan, or did I miss
No,
that?
I
and it
think
being a-
it's as part of this. I think Mr. Mizuko or Mr. Ryan could speak to that. I think that had when I went out to visit the site with Mr. Lally, Fran Lally, the zoning enforcement officer who had been to the site before.
Yeah.
We didn't get out of the car, but we just but we saw the standpipe, and it's going, as from what I understand. And so I don't know, I'm sure your information, Mr. Ryan or Mr. Mizuko, is better than mine.
Yeah, Robert Ryan for the record. We asked the fire marshal about that, and he said he didn't need, they really don't use that. And that was pretty much the answer we got. That we didn't need, they weren't planning on maintaining it.
All right, well, while we're in the area, Jim, I see you. Can you just, your thinking on this, on the proposal for riprap for the stormwater here on the southern side, as opposed to something like just a swale there, or a rain garden with some kind of water bars? Can you, any thoughts you would like to share with us?
Yeah, the problem with, if you recall from the last meeting with this, we had the swale kind of going in that direction.
Yeah.
Problem is, it's so thick, you would really need to kind of denude the area. And
No, I meant just even not the swale going all the way like it was last week. I'm glad that
Yeah.
that's gone, and I'm very grateful, but I'm just saying, rather than the riprap there, and they're talking about putting some riprap into the wetlands, maybe perhaps not rocks and riprap, but some kind of a depression or a swale, or, a rain garden kind of structure there.
Well,
I mean,
you-
it can
you're
be
gonna need
done,
the
right?
riprap for energy dissipation.
That's
so-
true. We do need to slow it down. That's all that's there for, is to slow it down. It's just to diffuse the energy, and then it kind of fans out, and then it's going to hit the densely vegetated area. I don't know. I really don't, to be honest, Sharon, I don't know if we need to do anything here. And the reason being is because the discharge point is so heavily vegetated at this point, mainly with Phragmites, where the riprap is located, that that is your area where the water is going to slow down, and unfortunately the frag is going to gobble up stuff, but it does work. I mean, I think it's overkill at this point, being that we're pretty, what is it, Mike, about 75 or 80 feet from the river edge from the discharge point. I mean,
It's
I just see the rain garden being a maintenance issue.
about 70 feet.
Yeah, so 70 feet. We got 70 feet of, and it won't be a straight shot. It's going to be diffused because it just will. It can't go straight. I just see the rain guarding or some other kind of like rock berm, if you will, be more of a maintenance issue at this point. And I don't know. I mean, I just want to slow the water down and then let it filter through the wet area, and then what it does after that, doesn't really matter at that point, because by the time it gets to the river, it's going to be managed, if you will.
So Mike, do you have the details on how this is going to be constructed? You got to bring in equipment and dig down. How far do you know yet?
Well, they're gonna have to just, because a lot of this is already just grown in, they're gonna have to clear it and grub it and then see what's there for a base. I know this area had been gravel in the past, but I don't know what the condition of that gravel is. And so some of it may have to be removed, but it's basically going to be at the same elevation.
No, I'm just thinking about this riprap discharge. Are you far enough along? Do you know how far down do you have to dig? Do you know yet how you're going to, if you have to dig, what's involved in digging? Do you have any ideas?
It's very limited amount of digging. I mean, we're at elevation 281. That's about where we are. So it's minimal. It's maybe just excavate out the area where the pad is, drop the stone in there, and you're going to be at existing grade.
Can you get it out of can you take a look at that? Can you get it out of the wetlands so you're not having to put rocks in the wetlands? Can you take a look at that?
I mean, I could probably pull it back.
Yes, see what you can do so we don't have to deal with, any construction in the wetlands.
Sure, we can. I mean, I could pull it
Yeah.
back. I got a little bit of room here.
And then also, like I said it too, maybe just document what you're talking about in terms of, is that going to be somebody's going to come in with a couple shovels, a couple guys with a couple shovels? You're going to get,
No, there won't be any.
use a
Nobody's
skid
doing any
steer or-
handwork here. It's going to be with a small excavator. They don't need a large excavator, and they'll just come in here, dig out the area for the pad, place the pad, put the pipe in there. In terms of the amount of excavation, I think most of it's going to be just probably pulling out the material that's not suitable in here and then replacing it with suitable gravel.
That's right.
Okay.
Because right
Yeah, so
now,
again, if you could
working
just,
it's working as a current discharge. It's just not, it's not very good. It's been sort of
right,
broken and such.
right.
So we're just kind of repairing the existing drainage, and we're adding an additional, best management practice for stormwater management by adding that riprap splash
Okay.
pad.
Again, I think just as a part of the documentation, just things that you're talking about, you're bringing in, a skid steer, it's not a big, huge excavator, your best estimate as to how far down you're going to dig. I guess you're going to be backing gravel trucks in here to drop this, or you're going to be using wheelbarrows. If you can document how the things that we would be interested in how this is going to be constructed. And again, if you can, like I said, I'd like to see you take a look at, can you get that riprap pad out, to the other side of those wetlands flag? Maybe you've got to make it wider in the beginning or change how it's.
I got enough room right here, Sharon. I could pull
Okay.
it back and probably get the outlet just here, probably get us just out of that, off the edge of that wetland.
Okay. does this, while we're here, does this plan have where you're gonna put the silt fence?
Yeah, this line here is silt fence.
Okay, the green line, that gray
Brown.
golden line is silt fence.
Yeah. Correct. Yep.
Okay. Again, when, like, please take our, this, I think our conversation about something more permanent, to heart, about trying to keep trucks out of the, like I said, out of the wetlands. And I would expect that whatever that is, that's going to be on the non-wetland side of your silt fence.
Well, I mean, for
You
just
got-
placing rocks like this, I was gonna keep the silt fence here and then just place the rocks along the edge of the wetland. Just similar to this, but just the rocks.
Yeah, see, this is the challenge, I guess, on that you'd be putting the, the silt fence. in
Well,
the
if we were
wetland.
digging down and putting bollards in, then I would put the silt fence down here into it. But I don't see the need for silt fence below just placing the rocks on the ground.
All right, can we go up on the north side? We touched on that, that parking there, and you've got the riprap there, and as I recall, it's got that, whatever that is, that storm drain there, and I think with the weather and such, or time, or I don't ever, does anybody know what that storm drain is? Is
This,
it just a pit?
it's a catch basin.
So, I mean, but it's just a catch basin. There's nothing there that collects sand or silt or oils or anything. Is that right? Is it just a catch basin?
Just a catch basin with a sump on it. Like probably 95% of all catch basins.
Excuse me.
And your proposal still does nothing in this area, is that right?
Yeah, nothing other than just, as I noted, there was just an area here that needed some attention with regard to the riprap. But other than that, it was operating fine. It looked in good condition. There wasn't a huge sediment load in the riprap here. Looked fairly clean. I don't see the concern.
Well, the concern that I've had from the beginning said, I said, what your client is trying to do here, like I said, is asking for us. I said, essentially, you're putting development, right up against the wetlands. That's what you're asking for. So I think for me anyways, I think we can accommodate things like that, which we generally do not do, but I think as a part of it here, I mean, you're doing a little bit of stormwater management down here on the southern side, which again, not much exists there today. We acknowledge that. But there should be something there to try and clean whatever that water is coming off that parking lot before it goes into the Still River. I'm still very interested in that as a part of this entire, this entire proposal.
I don't know. I think just in the grand scheme of things, I mean, we're not doing anything in this area, and we don't have much room to work in. And you gotta realize that you got Super 7 like running right along this whole area, where there's no provisions for management of flows off of the highway. If there was something evident out there that warranted some work, and I think the one thing that we did notice was just in this one area, again, there's not much you can do out there.
right, we got a decision date on this. It's the 20th of April of 2022.
I mean, you could put an oil hood on the pipe out of the catch basin.
Well, that's what I'd like to have. I'd like to have, you know, you and your client, you know, consider, like I said, you know, you're asking for something, your client's asking for the opportunity to essentially, you know, bring development and stones right up to wetlands. And there's long-term concerns about that, whether it's the gravel moving into the wetlands. I mean, there's going to be trucks back there. I know, you know, I think maybe as a condition, we won't be allowing the trucks to stay there. But even for the time that they are there, you're going to be introducing, you know, oil and gas and who knows whatever else, right, into areas, you know, that are closer to the river than they are now. And I said, for me anyways, I think we can accommodate that. But part of it, as I said, we've got an opportunity also for a little give and a little get here for some kind of, you know, a separator or something up there on that northern side. So I don't know, anybody else got anything else? Any other questions for them?
Madam Chair,
Yes, yes,
Sharon,
yes.
I have a few things I'd like to maybe just
Yeah,
put out there. So I did look at the hydrology, the hydroflow rainfall report. So can you just help me to understand a few things about it? So you did a 25-year study because why? What is that? What is the minimum required? Or is there a need to do a study for like a 50 or 100-year flood at all, given that this property is in the floodway?
No, not at all, because
Not at all.
in a 100-year flood, the water is going to be up against the back of the building, and this pipe's going to be submerged anyway.
I see. Okay, thank you. And just, I mean, I'm just, you know, this is just educational. I mean, and forgive me, I don't mean to take your time to do that.
Yeah, I mean,
Another
25-year storm event is normally what we would do. I mean, the state even recommends less than that for certain culverts, but you know, if there is a culvert, we would normally go to a 50 or 100-year, but normal regular stormwater for parking lots and smaller projects, the design standard that we normally use is 25 years.
Thank you. And remind me, I think you told me this last time, so forgive me if I'm beating a dead horse. So you have given us the calculations, the drainage calculations for a particular area that you outlined on your report. And those other two areas, where do they drain to?
The other two areas,
Well, so you have drawn a you've outlined on your hydrology, your hydrograph, the area that's going to be draining into that yard drain. What I don't understand is where is all the drainage from the metal building, for example, and that area going? The you know, building 105. Yes, where is all that water going? And then similarly, where is all the water from the driveway going, that area going on the southern side?
well, so from the high point, where that divide is,
Right,
somewhere in here, this water is just sheet flowing around here. You can see the contour, you see this
okay,
forms a swale. So it
right,
just sheet flows around here until it gets down to this contour. It keeps going down. It runs down through here and then eventually gets into this ditch.
I see.
And then, you know, similarly, I didn't really look into the roof drainage system on this particular building, but as far as the surface drainage, again, that high point is somewhere in here. So everything over here is draining down to this catch basin. And that comes up to
So
here.
we don't really know where the roof for that, we discussed the problems with the roof drains on the southerly building, but not this northerly building. Are there similar problems with the roof drains there? In other words, they're inoperative?
That I don't know. I know
Yeah.
they're putting a new roof. I don't know if they did, I think they did both buildings, new roofs.
Mhm.
So, and I know Rob said that they were both, they're white material, so they're not dark. So I guess it helps a little bit with temperature of the water coming off of that in the summertime. However, I did not look into the roof drainage system on here. I know that the one on this building was in very much disrepair. So.
I guess what I'm not understanding is like a comprehensive water management plan. In other words, we're addressing now the runoff, the overland runoff, right? That's coming off the driveway. And but I still haven't 50% of it. Well, maybe not 50%. How much? What would you say? 25, 30%, 30% of it's covered with buildings. And we haven't
Yeah.
discussed where that water's going. So I'm a little bit confused about that. And then I just wanted to also ask, is the grass area, the yard area between the two buildings going to remain grass? Is that going to be paved?
No, that was supposed to, my understanding, it's going to be, remain as grass, but Rob can weigh in on that. That was what he explained to me.
Yeah, Rob, Ryan again. Yeah, that's supposed to remain grass along.
Okay,
Please stop.
okay, thank you. I think that's all for me.
Thanks, Rochelle. Michael, Bob, Dave.
Kind of a tough issue.
Well, okay, well, you've heard some of the things we've talked about, some, can we get the, that, sort of change how you've got the protection there for, these mounds of gravel to something more permanent. I have a preference for bollards, but I think, we've had some colleagues say they, some stones. So maybe take a look at that, see what you can do for, getting that sort of that southerly, riprap out of the wetlands. Give us a description of how you're going to be excavating that area, the type of equipment that you're planning to bring in, how you're going to dump the gravel in there, how's that going to happen, how are you, maybe and maybe some specific detail about how this southerly, I don't know what we should call it, sort of stormwater riprap, how that would actually be constructed, again, skid steers, shovels, bringing it in, build, wheelbarrows, however you plan to do it, just so we can get that documented. And then again, I would really ask you to rethink, ask your client to rethink, can we put some kind of an oil grit separator up on that stormwater, that catch basin up on the north side?
Yep.
And we'll be here in 2 weeks.
Could I?
There is one more thing that was sort of troublesome. It was mentioned this parcel is very close to Super 7 and, all kinds of debris and water flow off of Super 7 unrestricted. And that was sort of disturbing to hear. And that would certainly mix with whatever is going on at this parcel.
Thanks, Dave.
I would also, and I know I'm repeating myself, but I'm just a little concerned what they're showing there. If they're going to bring a tractor trailer into the back of the square building and then expect it to back up and turn around, I don't think there's enough space for the largest trucks to do that. I'm wondering if we should consider some sort of a limit on the size of the truck that goes back there.
The vehicle tracking pattern that I have is for a WB-40
Okay,
tractor trailer. So the length of that is roughly 45 feet.
correct. how much space, what's the width, the length from the corner of the building, the lower left corner of the square building to where I was talking about the end of the back of the truck? In other words, from, I'm pointing and I know it does no good, but the corner of the building, come down a little bit, right, yeah, right there to the back. Yeah, what is that distance?
It's like 63 feet.
Okay, all right.
But here's the turning movements for that vehicle. So I have it pulling in,
Okay, so there is enough
pulling up,
room.
and then backing. You can see that this is, follow this line, this is the backing movement to the front of the truck as it comes
Okay.
around.
All right, so you have accounted for that.
Correct.
Okay, that's what I was
Yeah.
concerned about. Why is there one area here, the whole area is being done with gravel, but you have like part of the roadway with a heavier stone? Is that the idea? Is that where the trucks are meant to pull in?
No, it's not heavier. It's just a different, it's a different hatch because that's the area that's wooded right now. And
Okay.
it looks a little darker, so it's a little deceiving, but it's a
Okay.
combination of this hatch and the gravel hatch.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so that's this area, wherever.
So
this
trucks are
area-
going to be able to pull all the way to the lower right-hand corner of that square building and beyond,
Over here, you
where
mean?
you've drawn kind of,
So
Yeah.
over here,
no, just go to the right with your
here,
cursor. Yeah, the trucks can pull up to there and then back out.
right, they need to pull up here. We need this area here because they're gonna be unloading and then bringing in probably with a forklift or something to get into the, they're gonna put a
Okay.
new door
And then
here.
to get out of there, they're going to back out.
Yeah, that was originally one of the earlier plans I looked at. They tried to have the vehicle come in, drive in, and then, you know, pull up and then back into the existing
Yeah.
loading door that's here. But that would have required like extending
Mhm.
a lot into this area to be able to make that movement happen.
Let me ask, the area that we just heard was going to remain grass. Would it make more sense to have a driveway come through there and so the trucks don't have to back up? I've known and loved a lot of bus and truck drivers because of the work I've done, but backing up is very difficult.
I mean, it's difficult, but if you got a lot of room, it's generally not a problem.
Okay.
Yeah, we had mentioned that, and Rob didn't want to go and do that for some reason.
Okay. Well, it's not our position to tell you how to design it.
Yeah, it's a little rough because if you look at, this is like a one-way travel.
Yeah.
'Cause you got angled parking here, so your truck would have to come in and swing around to miss the building, and then you got to come in and then serpentine back again and get around the corner of this building.
Yeah, I hear what you're
Probably be
saying.
out into this parking to be able to do that.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Mhm.
Okay.
I'm not sure, and again, my summary, which was not intended to be exhaustive of every comment, I'm not sure, I think I may have missed, Rochelle, even your comment about this, the northerly building, you know, about whether the roof drains or anything on that, for what you guys know about, can you just document? Again, I know you're not making any changes there, but can you just document that there's nothing that you guys can see for however that roof drain is going to impact your proposal here? There's no chance for
Yeah,
anything
well,
coming off that northerly building to add to any erosion, to anything you are proposing to excavate?
Yeah, we'll look into that.
Okay.
I think, excuse me, this is Rochelle Hodza again. But aren't you cutting down trees there too? And isn't that a change?
They're removing just the trees and brush that have grown up against the back of this building
Right.
as well, just to clear it out. They want some room in there, so the tree is not right up against the building.
And you are putting gravel there as well, is that?
Yeah, they
correct?
just wanted some processed gravel to, keep everything sort of at bay. against the
Right.
building.
I understand. Yeah.
Okay, well, we've had a good conversation. We've had a lot of questions, a lot of things that I think we'd like to see. Again, we're gonna be here in 2 weeks. So if there isn't anything else, about a motion to continue to our next regularly scheduled meeting.
So moved.
All right, thank you, Michael. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second.
All right, thanks, Bob. All right, any discussion on the motion to continue this to our next meeting, which is on the 28th?
I think we were
Is that right?
supposed to be on the schedule today.
Hang on one second, please. Yeah, so our next meeting is on the 28th. So yeah, just hang on one second.
Kai, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can. Is there some reason you're trying to jump in here?
Yes, we were on the schedule for today. We have applied for a permit and we were supposed to be heard today. It's just for we're replacing an existing deck at 25
25
Kellogg.
Kellogg? Yeah, we have you on the, yeah, you're on the agenda. You are on our agenda here. You're in new business and you're about, we're going to wrap up this project. We're going to take a look at another one and then we're going to talk about you.
Oh, so you're not ending the meeting?
No, we're just ending
No.
this.
Oh,
this,
thank you.
Yeah,
I
yeah. No, we're just
apologize.
ending agenda item 5. We're not even ending it. We're what they call continuing it. To our
Oh,
next meeting, so.
okay, I might have to hop out because my battery is almost at 0, so I
Oh
have to
dear.
recharge and come back in to the meeting. Does that
Yeah, you
work?
can do that too. Check, there's a phone, there's a phone number too. If for some reason your battery dies, you can always call in. How's that?
That sounds good. Now, how soon should I check back in if I just
I
shut
wish
it?
I wish I could tell you. I can't give you a precise number. We're gonna finish this one and then we've got 701 federal and I really cannot say exactly how long that one's going to go. I'm not sure. Okay.
Okay, let me just hop out, try to
Okay.
charge it and see
All
what
right.
happens.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Okay, great. All right. Well, all right, good. Well, I hope that was helpful. Okay. All righty. All right, so how about I'll call that motion to continue 105 Grays Bridge Road to our next regularly scheduled meeting. Aye,
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries unanimous. Thanks, guys. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Yep.
We should make mention of that woman who just dropped off to charge her phone. So, that she isn't missing in action or anything. She was actually here.
Yeah, I tried to find, I tried, Dave. So I'm assuming we'll get
She's
her
coming
back.
back.
Here, she'll be
Coming
back. Yeah,
She's gonna
she'll be
discharge
back.
her.
All right, so the next thing on our agenda, it's 701 Federal Road, the mixed-use buildings. I think the way we left this, they were going to go take a look at potentially, they wanted to go look at some other options, maybe zoning
Variance.
variance. So I don't see anybody here and let me just double check. I don't see any new material. Let me just double check here. Does anybody see anything new?
No,
Okay.
the latest date is February 22nd.
Yeah, so I don't see anything new from them. I think you were very generous. I mean, I think we were trying to get the minutes over them to be a part of their, their consideration for their, their record for zoning. I can't think of anything else to do for them this evening, besides continue it to our next regularly scheduled meeting.
Do we know, Rochelle, if they've actually gone for a zoning variance yet?
Variance.
Or are they waiting for our approval?
I don't think they're waiting for
You
our approval.
may be on mute, Rochelle.
Oh, you are?
Thank you. Sorry. I think they are in the process of doing that. They missed this month for that deadline. So
Uh,
they may try to appear in April, but to date, there is no variance.
All right. And just to refresh, my colleague's memory, I said, because you may not, maybe have picked up on it. Rochelle made mention of it a couple of weeks ago. Part of any zoning application, the zoning commission does wait for a report from the Wetlands Commission. So even if they had gone to zoning, you guys may not know that, but that's into the Brookfield zoning regulations. They don't make a decision until they get a report. Now, they don't need it to be yes, or they need a yes or a no, and then they take that into their consideration. So it doesn't really, so I just wanted to make mention of that and anything with zoning that has wetlands in it, they are looking for our report and they can't make a decision until they get that from us. So I just wanted to mention that to you. I don't know how that might work out for this, but I just thought it was just something to make mention of.
I kind of understood that. I was just very curious about the timing and if there was anything we needed to do quickly or.
Nope, we don't have to do
because of
anything. Nope, we are just under our normal time constraints. And sometimes it does, the applicant's aware of it as well. So sometimes it sort of helps them in some of their, their decisions to do things and, make applications.
I would like to say that what you said, Sharon, is true. However, it's a little bit more, it's a little bit weird with zoning board of appeals. If they have to get a variance, they don't actually need wetlands for that. They can certainly go and try to get that.
Right.
But then if they are approved for a variance, then they would have to go through zoning and get a zoning permit. So that's where, of course, they would have to be sure they had the wetlands report.
Yeah, sorry if I wasn't clear. I meant zoning. I did not mean zoning board of appeals. So thank you for that, helping me be clear.
A lot of moving parts, unfortunately.
Yeah, there always are with big projects. There always are. So, and you just have to remember it's even bigger than us. So they got a lot of other things that are big projects. So, all right. Well, with that, then I'll take a motion to continue 701 Federal Road to our next regularly scheduled meeting.
I'll second that.
All right. I made the motion. Bob seconded it. Any discussion? All right, then all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? All right, motion carries unanimous, 4-0. All right, well, let's hope that our neighbor, I guess, from 25 Kellogg can rejoin. I don't see her yet. So let's just, hopefully she'll join again, but I think we can just take a look at this application here.
I might point out, I did look at the application and the drawing and such. It's not a huge thing, but the application is not complete. She didn't write down what they wanted to do, nothing about the wetlands or how much there is. The only thing she said was for the area the property is. But I couldn't even find the proposed description.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. I think that's blank. How do they, and there's total acreage 0.13. How did, Rochelle, today, do they get to come into the office to fill these things out, or can they just do them from home and send them in?
No, everything is still done only online. There's just no way the office can even handle a regular paper application anymore.
Yeah.
But I'm just looking at this online here to see where we are.
Yeah, it looks like they didn't get a chance to fill it all out.
Wetlands permit. It seems to me, though, that it normally, if it's not complete, it wouldn't go on our agenda. Christine, the administrator, wouldn't normally put it on.
Is there maybe there's another letter or something? Maybe let's look. There's a construction sequence.
The construction sequence does kind of explain what they want to do.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Remove a deck and put a new one.
Join the meeting. It might be the applicant.
Someone wants to join the meeting.
Someone is in the meeting on an iPhone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that Ms. Kurth? Is that you?
Yes.
Oh, hi.
Oh, great. It worked.
Yes, it worked. And I have the iPad as a backup, but that's charging. I apologize.
All right. We'll make it work, Deidre.
We'll make it work.
Thank you so much.
All right, yeah, okay, so just to help you out, like I said, if we were all in meeting, so this, Ms. Kurth, you're the owner of the property, is?
Yes.
25 Kellogg?
Yes.
Oh, okay. We were just starting to take a look at this, and we understand you were able to submit the application online. Is that right?
I started it, I came in to the town hall actually,
Oh,
and
great.
I was able to get help in the office to make sure it was done correctly. So we submitted the diagrams and everything, the location of the silt fence. And basically what it is it's an old deck, and we are just replacing it with a composite deck. A tree had fallen on it, so it was a little warped. And
Oh, dear.
basically, it's an old deck that we just want to replace in the same exact footprint. But I think the wetlands was most concerned about making sure we have a silt fence. So we did mark that on the map.
Do you know, has your contractor told you, do you have to dig new footings for this deck?
We're going to look at the footings and most likely put in new ones. Yes.
Okay, so somebody's going to have to dig and drill or something to make that happen?
We're not 100% sure whether it needs new footings because the deck is already there with footings.
Okay. So it's, you won't know until you tear it apart. Is that right? Is that what I'm hearing?
That's most likely, what I think. Yes.
Okay. Well, we were taking a look at at the application, and I think something strange happened because I heard you say you filled it all out, but somehow the version that we got here has a couple of blanks on it. But trying to think of the easiest way to deal with this, Michael, because it doesn't look like there's any upland.
Can she go back online?
Disturbance or
would you have to fill a new one out? Just specifically what we're talking about is the purpose and description of the proposed activity. Although you mentioned it in the construction sequence, it's not on the application, nor is any information about disturbed wetland areas, total wetland areas. Some of these numbers may just be zero.
Yeah.
But normally we like to see them written out.
Rochelle, do you have any suggestions for us on, could Ms. Kurth maybe just call the office? Is it possible to maybe just fill in? I said, it looks like these are going to be 0, 0, 0, 0, 0s.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I believe that Christine, the administrative assistant for wetlands, has been helping Ms. Kurth quite a bit. So this is the first time I've seen the application today.
Right. Yeah.
But certainly Christine would be able to help, determine what's missing. And I'm surprised, usually she goes over them and makes sure that it's filled out properly. So I'm not sure what happened here, what the disconnect was.
Well, there may be just some version control conceivably, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, Ms. Kurth, what we're talking about, and just, I know you're not seeing it, but I'll just maybe try and just restate what Mr. Neustadt said. There are a couple of critical pieces of information on the application that are blank. And it's important for us to have this application be complete. A sentence that says, reinstalling a deck, disturbed wetland areas are 0. Would you be able to maybe call and let me just say this too, the state regulations for wetlands do not allow us to approve a new application the same night that it comes in, which is today. The state says there's a minimum of 2 weeks. So we cannot make a decision tonight. We would leave it on the agenda. We would move it from new business, which is where you are now, down to, to old business, which is what we do earlier in the meeting. And that's where we were when you and I had that brief conversation. Would you, in the next 2 weeks, be able to give the land use office a call and see if and see if the guys can work out something to complete? There's only like maybe 3 or 4 pieces of information that are missing here, and get that completed. Is that possible?
Yes, and I can even go in there. They have a computer there, and that's how Christine was helping me with it. And so you want the blanks filled in, which
Yep.
is the reinstalling a deck.
Yeah, there's a
And-
little description that says purpose of, a description of the activity, and that can just be a sentence. Right now it's blank, and it can just be reinstall the deck.
Right, okay, purpose. And then disturbed wetlands is 0.
Yeah, it's blank now. It just needs to, I think it's 0, so.
Right, so that's 0. Was there anything else at all that we need to fill out, or just
Yeah,
those
there's
2?
something called wetlands on the property. I'm guessing that that's also 0, considering where you are, but I don't, Christine.
It
can you-
is 0.
Yeah,
It
and then
is,
there's something called disturbed upland review area. That's another blank. And then there's a blank there about disturbed linear feet of water courses, which would be like the lake. And so there's 1, 2, there's like 6 pieces, like 6 blanks. That's it.
6 blanks to
Yeah.
fill in. Well, I will try to look at it myself too, but I will definitely try to get the help of everyone in the
Also,
town hall.
if you
Not
can
everyone,
find
but
out-
someone.
Yeah.
Also, if you can find out from your contractor if he's going to need to bring a piece of equipment there to dig new holes for new foundation. It sounds like not, but if he is, or you think he might, just put that on the application as well. It's not a problem. It's just that we want to make sure that everything you need to do is approved.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah.
I don't believe new holes are going to need to be dug, and I believe they can use the same footings, but they may need to replace them once they look at them. I'm not sure. So we'll put all that information right
Yeah.
on the application.
Yeah, we can do, Michael, here is, we can approve it, with the, like I said, with the stipulation that said right now, there's no need, there's no need for the, or the applicant will, let's see, let me think for a second. I'm trying to think.
What I was thinking, might be easier is just the application would say, and install new footings if necessary.
Yeah, do you happen to know how many footings there are, Ms. Kurth?
I do not, but I will make sure to count those also.
Yeah, could you?
It
Because
would
maybe-
really help if we had photographs. I mean, I
Yeah,
think that, a picture's worth 1,000 words. If we saw what you had from several different angles, at least we could get a sense of a couple of things, namely, how steep the area is, and how high the deck is. Is it 10 feet off the ground? Is it 4 feet off the ground? All those kinds of things just help us determine things like, well, where are they going to, when they remove the deck that's there currently, are they going to immediately carry it offsite and haul it away? Are they going to store the demolished deck on site for a couple of days? All those kinds of things would be helpful to know, so that we know that nothing will, no debris or contaminants or of any kind would, find their way down to the lake.
Yeah, how far is it
Well-
from the lake? You're gonna want to, we should know how far it is from the lake too, shall we?
yeah, I think we know that. I think there is a plan, right? Didn't we get a plan? There's a GIS map.
A GIS map was filed.
Yeah,
Paul
yeah.
Avery made an outline
Yeah,
on the deck and said, here's where the deck needs to be. Give this to whoever is going to be working on the deck. And he said that would be good. It's not high off the ground. It's only a few feet off the ground. It goes level out from the first floor. But I can put all that information on the application if you wish.
yeah. So Bob, I'm just looking at the map here and they've got a lot line on, I think it's on the westerly side-ish. And that's like 77 feet. And if I sort of like take the GIS map from like their 440 line, take that 77 and sort of eyeball it over, looks like the deck's 80, 90 feet away from the lake.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Mhm.
So
That's
and-
approximately correct. I just measured it on the GIS here at my desk.
oh, good. So
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
brand
Yeah,
new thing
it's
for me.
it's somewhere around, depending on where the shoreline actually ends, it's between
Yeah.
80 and 90 feet. Yeah.
Yeah, Ms. Kurth, and in addition, like I said, one of the things that'd be useful to know is he going to be bringing any, is he going to be doing all this by hand, or it sounds like he's just going to be bringing in lumber and storing it in the front, and you don't need any equipment back there, right? He's not going to need any, he's not, or she, not going to need any equipment back there to install this. I mean, and I ask, because sometimes when people see excavators, in the neighbors' yards, they call us and say, do you know anything about it? So it's nice if we would know that.
No,
But
it's going to be plain and simple. There's not
Yeah.
going to be any big equipment in the back. It's just going to be taking the deck out. We'll have a dumpster and get rid of all the old materials right away. It's not going to be stored anywhere.
Will the dumpster be in the front in your driveway or?
It can be by the side, or it can
Side,
be
okay.
in the back. It can be in the back, closer to the deck, but none of that is near the water. Actually, there's kind of a ledge that goes down where you see on the map our property line
Okay.
ends, and the light, whatever it's called, company owns the other. There's like a drop off there.
Mhm.
Uh,
I guess
So-
our concern though is a dumpster needs a big truck to bring it in and haul it out. And if there's any way to keep the big truck as far away from the lake as possible, that would be wonderful.
Well, I'm going to guess that it has to be in the front because there's also a septic in the back of the house. So
Okay,
they
yeah.
can't put it on that either. So there's not a lot of room by the side of the house. So I'm going to guess they would put it maybe in the driveway.
Yeah, that would certainly make sense.
Yeah, it does.
Be appropriate, and they can hand carry the old deck out piece by piece.
Right. I mean, we do a lot of our own work, so we can probably do that. I'm very strong personally.
Good, I have to work at my house. Yeah,
Okay.
no, I don't see
No, I don't. I
for
said,
myself, I don't see a big problem with this.
I'm not seeing any problems either, I think, and we're not trying to give you a hard time here. I hope that's coming across. It's just terribly important for us to, truly understand what it is that, that we're going to be granting you approval on, and I said, we get interested in the things that could potentially end up with something rolling into the lake, whether that's dirt or boards or whatever. I mean, that's kind of our interest. So that's why we'd like to get those, get that application, filled in, those 6 missing pieces of information. Looks like it just didn't happen. We'd like to better understand how many footings you have there now, because I know Michael and Rochelle are on a good point. I think we can work something out, to make it easy for you if they have to, dig and, replace those. I think, we could try and make it easy for you so you wouldn't have to come back for a modification. I think we can work something out like that. But again, if you can just have your contractor sort of add to that construction sequence that all this work is going to be done by hand, the things are being stored wherever they're gonna be stored, I assume up in the front, and then where you think you're gonna be putting the dumpster, if we can get that documented, I think you're gonna be all set.
I will put all this, I'll count the number of footings that are there. The holes are already there, so I don't think anything would need to be dug then.
That's fine.
But
That's
I'll
fine.
be, and just so you know, we love the lake too, and we
Yeah.
want to protect the lake, so we're not going to do anything to jeopardize it. But I
Right.
do understand you need it all documented on the application, so we will do that for sure.
That would, I said, that would be great, because I said, everybody in the lake loves the lake, and I can tell you that when funny things happen, the phone rings in the land use office. So as much as we can tell, have available, say, yep, that's an approved plan, or yep, we were expecting that, or yep, we were expecting that, and yep, we're expecting that, helps everybody. And then, when you have the final inspection, it's very clear, that what you ended up with is what you thought you were going to end up with, and there aren't any, there's no chance for uh-ohs.
Well, it sounds great, and I thoroughly enjoyed the whole meeting. And I'm understanding that when someone sent out to check something, it's to protect everyone in the whole town.
Right.
It's not a bad thing, it's a good thing.
Yeah, actually, state of Connecticut, it's more than just the town. I said all the wetlands, belong to everybody in the state of Connecticut. Everybody has joint interest. All the citizens have joint interest in all the wetlands across the state of Connecticut. So it's not true everywhere, but it's true in Connecticut. So
Yes, it is. And thank you so much for putting up with my electronic dilemma.
No problem. Thank you for understanding our procedure.
We're just glad you were able to join. We're glad our idea worked out. So
Yes, thank you so much. And I better go before it happens again.
okay.
Have
All
a
right,
good
we're going to
evening.
make a motion to continue this till our next regularly scheduled meeting, which is March 28th. So you've got 2 weeks to get your PC fired up again.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Bye.
All right.
Bye
Bye-bye.
now.
All right. So I'll make a
But I'll
motion.
move that we continue 25 Kellogg Street W-22-6 till the next scheduled meeting.
I'll second that.
I'll second that.
Thanks, Bob. You beat you, Dave. So,
No, that's okay.
all right. So any discussion on the motion? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries unanimous, 4-0. Okey dokey, tabled items, correspondence, review of the previous minutes, February 28th.
I would move, I've read them and agree with them, and I'll move that we accept the minutes of the February 28th meeting as published.
I'll second.
All right, thank you, Dave. All right, and any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
I
Aye.
abstain.
Aye.
I have to
Aye.
abstain.
So motion is going to carry
One
3-0
abstention.
to 1. Bob's going to abstain.
I wasn't here.
Right. Okay, thanks, Bob. Okay, where are we? Let's see. So that is that. So I'm very excited to read, what is it, 175 pages of riparian buffer stuff.
Wasn't that interesting?
I love that.
Yeah.
So thank you, Rochelle. Thank you. Thank you. I'd only been finding 2 or 3, articles here and there, but that was terrific.
You're welcome.
Sharon,
You gotta know where to go.
Are you seeing something new? Because I'm referring to some documents we got almost a year ago.
No, didn't we get something new?
I don't know if I sent it to everyone. I can't recall, honestly. I'm still a
think
little bit
Christine,
wonky with my computer.
Oh, I think you asked Christine to do it, so it doesn't, oh, that's the beavers.
Oh, that's right. I think I asked her to send the riparian buffers too. Yeah,
Yeah, I think.
I thought so.
Well,
I can't recall.
All
I
right,
didn't
well,
get anything
everybody-
new on repairing buffer, so if you could resend it, I'd appreciate it.
You would have known it because it would have weighed
Oh.
heavily in your inbox.
Yeah, it's really exciting stuff.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
I only had a chance to skim through it. I did not get a chance to read all 175 pages, but I'm keen to do it.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's no terrible rush, but I thought I would move that agenda item along. It's nice
Yeah.
to, but so we'll be sure that everyone gets it for the next meeting though.
Mhm.
Yeah, because it has great, it has great relevance to, a number of applications that, that we have active, and well, two of them actually, right along the Still River. So
There's a number of items in there that, not to cause too much controversy, but may require a political decision to change some of our town regulations in terms of wetlands, such as the length, the distance for the review area, etc.
we do that, Michael, the commission.
We can do
has
that.
Yeah, it's not a town change. Those regulations are ours. And so,
That's good to hear. 'Cause
yeah.
there were some very compelling reasons to make some
Yeah.
changes from what we are currently looking at.
Right. No, they would be, like I said, we would own those. I mean, I think of my proposal would be a format, we would put them on the agenda as official discussion items. We would probably hold a public hearing, and seek, public comment on them. And then based on that, make a, vote on, as a commission, whether we wanted to accept them or not. I think that would be the general process for changing the wetlands regulations.
This may be a question more for Rochelle than you, but historically in these kinds of regulations are differences made for, well, let's take the Still River as an example. Right at the Four Corners area, there are obviously buildings and stores and such that are right up to the river, which we would probably not want to allow in a more rural or area where it's not already developed. Is there anything in our regulations now, or the possibility of putting them in the regulations to say, okay, the Brookfield Market, which is right up to the river, would get treated a little differently than a new housing development in just down the road on Federal Road?
Well, so it sounds to me like you're asking if they wanted to do something new there, or they wanted to what?
Well, obviously something new, because
I mean, to tear it down and build something in its
No,
place?
no, not to tear something down, but as new applications come in, I understand we really don't have the authority to say, well, this old building doesn't meet the new regulations, so you have to tear it down. That's not something we can do.
No, right. We're kind of stuck
Right.
with what we have.
But
Right.
for any
Yeah.
new application, if
New
it's,
is new. New is new. New is
Yeah.
against whatever the regulations
Yeah.
are at that time.
exactly. And my
Right.
question is it possible to have different regulations for different zones? For example, the town center zone around the Four Corners might be a little less restrictive than what would be done further up the river.
I guess the standard would be, our responsibility towards, just the general health of wetlands. So for me
Mhm.
anyways, it wouldn't matter to me if it was here or there or anywhere, I would have the same standard.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I
would have
think
the
this is
same
kind of the
standard.
problem we're
Wetlands
facing
is
with
I
this
understand.
application, which I won't discuss the application now since the applicants are no longer here, but I think this is a similar situation that we're involved with now, because anything that's near.
Try not to talk about.
No, and I'm
any-
not going to, but
No,
I'm just
right,
saying
right,
that,
right. All
obviously
hypothetically, right?
anything near the Still River,
Yeah.
that's been built, that was built before indeed before the inland wetlands regulations were enacted, in some sense has to be treated differently because it's there already. And then, you do have to let people, use their property within reason. The other side of the coin is your standard is always going to be, is there a prudent and feasible alternative?
Right.
So no matter, if your regulations say we're 200 feet away from the Still River, from Candlewood Lake and from Lake Lilanona, and they say that other wetlands 75 feet away, that's the regulated area. If that's what they say, you still have discretion to try to, and it behooves you, it's your duty to be sure that whatever the applicant is proposing, there's no prudent and feasible alternative. So, so it's really that guides your decision, no matter where it's not like zoning. It's very different from zoning. So,
Very different.
you don't really have different zones that, just that it's just how far are you away from the wetlands and how how likely is it that that activity will negatively impact the wetland?
Understood, but there's always ways to protect the wetlands, and I'm thinking more in terms of what's done in other communities, Austin, Texas, for example, where there is a river walk and development right along the river as a benefit for the community. I just think that's something that might be brought up in our discussions.
Well, we'll have to see if we get an application like that. We'll have to see.
Mhm.
We'll get a chance to think about it. We'll get a chance to think about it harder.
Yeah.
All right, so that is that. That was a great discussion. We also got some additional information on the beavers. I think Christine sent that out. I think I saw that.
I would also say on revising the rules that current landowners, if they've done something and they're not in compliance with the new rules, they could be grandfathered in, based on the old rules.
They wouldn't, they would not be out of compliance, Dave, if for some reason
Exactly,
the
yep,
regulation
yep.
changes. They're not out of compliance.
But they might, if the status changes, there'd be a grandfather clause in there because.
Dave, are you speaking about someone who owns land and has not built yet? That they would always have the right to build to the old regulations?
No, it would just be for the
Or-
current exact situation. If they wanted to revise it in the future, then they would have to go with the
Okay.
new
The new ones.
rules
Mhm.
and ordinances. If they have something and with the new rules, they're out of compliance because they were observing the old rules, they could be grandfathered in, on that basis. So they wouldn't have to make a change. However, in the future, if they made a change, then it would be for the new rules. You get it?
Yep.
Good.
All right. Anything else in informal discussion? That's open for everyone. Rochelle, Allison? Where did this go? All right. Well, then I think we've come to the end of our agenda here. If there isn't anything else, hopefully, Rochelle, the lights will come back on for you. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Oh, wait 1 minute. I
Okay.
knew there was one other thing that was lurking. Dave, I thought maybe you'd bring it up. And
I
that
like to
is,
bring
where
it
are
up.
we going to hold our meeting at the end of March?
Oh, yeah.
I'm impartial. Doesn't matter Zoom or in person. I think when we get into April, it'll definitely be in person again, though. The way we lifted.
Have we had any input from any applicants who would be concerned about coming to an in-person meeting? To answer your question for me, I think I'm comfortable enough to go back to an in-person meeting.
Yeah, I think I can too. I mean, really, I will wear a mask.
I will as
Oh,
well.
yeah. No, that's
Yeah,
no big deal.
I'm gonna wear a mask.
Do that, for as long as you want to.
Yeah.
It's okay.
So let me ask Rochelle, if we decided to do that, I think, so, I think in general, we're talking about doing it. So I think it's just a matter of, do we do it on the 28th or do we do it whenever it is in April here? Is it the 11th?
Well, I can tell you, I'm taking history classes at WestCon, and what they're doing is on April 4th, they're lifting all mandates, regarding masks, PCR tests, vaccination requirements. Everything is going to be dropped. So, if you want to follow those guidelines, it would be after April 4th.
What are the town's guidelines?
The town's guidelines
I
are
think you go to
optional.
town offices now, not wear
Masks,
a mask.
masks are optional in town hall.
And they're allowing in-person meetings, obviously.
We have been having in-person meetings,
Mhm,
yes.
And with no specific restrictions of masks or vaccination.
None. Mm-mm.
I think for the future, if somebody wants to wear a mask, I'm talking about the future. People are welcome to do that if they want to.
Of course.
All right, I said, Allison, I don't want to put you on the spot, but you're more than welcome, you're more than welcome to weigh in here if you want to do it, offline with Rochelle, that's fine
She was
too.
at a meeting last night. When was the zoning? We were at zoning.
Oh, okay, well, we
Yeah,
don't want
yeah.
to forget you about it. We don't want
I
to
was
forget.
breathing
about you,
all over
You're
Allison.
here together with us. So-
Yeah, most of the other meetings that I cover have gone back to in-person, so I'm fine with whatever the commission decides.
All right, well then let's do it, let's make it simple. We'll do Zoom one more time on the 28th. And then let's plan to go back in person in April.
Very
How's
good.
that sound? to everybody?
That's fine.
Do you need a motion?
I don't know if we need a motion.
Yeah,
Not really.
I
that's
don't
just,
think so.
I
It'll be
think
on
as
the-
long as
it'll
it's
be on the-
posted, I think it's
all right.
fine.
Yeah. I
Right,
don't think
so-
so.
But you
No,
can
it's
certainly
so,
put it in the
strange
minutes. There's no
after,
harm
what,
there,
2
but
years
we don't
to-
really need a motion.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't think we need a
No, it's
motion.
going to be so mainstream just doing it by Zoom, but it isn't really very good. We have to look at maps and so on, and it's a lot easier in person doing that. The nature of what we do here.
All right, good. So we've made a decision. One more time on Zoom and then in town hall, the first meeting in April. Great.
Excellent.
Other than that, someone want to make a motion to adjourn?
Oh, and when we do in-person meetings again, it's going to be room 133, right?
It'll be what's ever available.
We'll try for 133 because that way we have more space.
We've been all over.
Okay.
Okay.
I would like to make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
All right. Do I have a second for Michael's motion to adjourn?
I'll second it.
All right. Thanks, Bob. All right. Other than that, let me call that motion to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, we are adjourned. The motion carries 4-0. Thanks, guys.
Have a good night, everyone.
In 2 weeks.
Bye now.